I didn't flinch when the HOA, so-called patrol team, marched up my gravel driveway at 6 in the morning. They walked in tight formation, clipboards in hand, acting like they were conducting a military operation instead of trespassing on private agricultural land. Their leader pointed boldly at my barn and declared, "We have authorization to enter." I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I simply stepped aside and waited because I knew exactly what sound was coming next. A slow, heavy creak echoed across the yard as the barn door pushed open from the inside. And then Sheriff Dalton stepped out, badge catching the morning light, a steaming cup of coffee in his hand, and said, "Funny, I don't recall deputizing your HOA." The entire patrol froze. Their radios crackled uselessly. Behind them, President Marlene Darrington, known around town as Mega Karen, whispered, "Sheriff, this isn't what it looks like, but it was exactly what it looked like. And I had been waiting 2 months for this moment." Life hadn't always been like this. When I bought my 20 acres on the edge of Ridge Hollow, all I wanted was quiet, real quiet. Not HOA-approved quiet, where people argue about wind chimes and mailbox colors, but the kind of stillness that settles into your bones. My mornings were simple: coffee on the porch, fog lifting off the fields, feeding goats, repairing old tractors. My land predated the HOA by more than 40 years, so I wasn't part of their little kingdom. And for a long time they ignored me, and I ignored them. Then the first laminated notice appeared on my gate. Non-compliant livestock, goats on agricultural land. Perfectly legal, I laughed. Then a second notice came, and a third. And another demanding that I apply for animal keeping approval. That's when I politely emailed the HOA, reminding them that I was not under their jurisdiction. They replied 4 minutes later, "All properties adjoining HOA territory must comply for visual consistency." Something shifted inside me that day, not fear, not anger, but awareness. I tried diplomacy. I attended their meeting with printed county maps, highlighted boundaries, everything neatly labeled. Marlene waved her hand dismissively. "We've decided your property is close enough to influence community aesthetics." The room laughed. 2 days later, the fines started, completely illegal fines. Their patrol team began walking my fence line daily, photographing everything I owned. Neighbors stopped waving. Tension grew like mold. And then came the email that changed everything. They intended to inspect my barn. That's when I stopped being nice. I gathered every document I had: survey maps, zoning plates, livestock registrations, my deed with its non-annexation clause. The more I studied, the clearer it became. The HOA had zero authority over me, none. I documented everything: photos, screenshots, recordings. When I brought all of it to Sheriff Dalton, he reviewed every page and finally said the words that set the plan in motion. "If they step foot in that barn, call me." Why? Because entering a non-HOA property was trespassing. Entering a locked structure was breaking and entering. Claiming they had authority was impersonating officials, a perfect trifecta. So when their inspection team stormed in at sunrise, I let the trap spring. Sheriff Dalton stepped out of my barn like he'd been waiting for this his whole life. He calmly explained that the HOA had no jurisdiction over my property, my livestock, or my structures. Then he lifted the folder of collected evidence, my maps, my photos, their emails, and said, "This paperwork says you've been trespassing for 2 months." Panic rippled through the group. Marlene stammered. One of the patrol members whispered, "We didn't know." Dalton cut him off. "You did," he told you. Multiple times. Then he lowered his voice and delivered the final blow. "Leave now, or I start writing arrest warrants." They left. Quickly, almost tripping over each other to escape. The aftermath was beautiful. Marlene resigned. 3 board members followed. The county opened an investigation into HOA overreach. Their entire patrol team was disbanded. And best of all, a formal no trespass order was issued for my entire property line. Now the farm is peaceful again, quiet, exactly the way it was before a group of self-appointed neighborhood warriors decided my barn was their business. Sometimes in the evening I stand at the edge of the field, feeling the calm settle over the land again, and think about how hard they pushed, and how easily the law pushed back. The HOA doesn't bother me anymore. No one does.